Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the High Ticket Coaching and Consultant Strategy and Growth Show. Now, if you're watching this interview anywhere else but within our private Facebook community called High Ticket Client Attraction Inside the Circle, then definitely come check us out. We definitely love to have you. I believe over the past few weeks, we've grown to past 7,000 members. So if you're not already a member, come check us out. Now, today, I want to introduce you to another one of the members of our community, Ken Westgaard. Welcome, Ken.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. You're welcome. So Ken, tell myself and the rest of the community, what is it that you do?
Well, I am a coach and launch strategist. So basically, I help online coaches and course creators to, plan and execute their launches so they can crush their launches over and over again.
Awesome. Launch strategist. Love it. Love it. Now, before you guys started down this line of work, what did you do before? What's your backstory?
Well, I've been working in retail for a lot of years before this, obviously. But actually, I started out with web and graphic design quite a few years ago, actually. But as time passed, obviously, I found my passion and found what I wanted to do. But it's definitely been a journey, and it's been, trying to figure out what it is that you love to do. And it's not always so easy as people think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Good. Good. And so you said in terms of launch strategies, right? So the launch is that would you say that's a core of your method and what you help your clients with launching?
Yeah, I help them launch. Basically, I use a framework which is, it consists of three key components to any launch, in my opinion. And it is to have a really good messaging so people really connect with you and, they just want to say that, you're in my head, basically. And the second thing is to have a irresistible offer. So basically, they just throwing money at you and giving you a credit card. And the last thing is to have a proper launch plan so that everything is going to go as the way you planned it and you don't have to do things while you're actually launching, because that's a big mistake a lot of people do is go into launch and still having to write the email, still doing the webinar slides, and the focus is not on actually showing up for your audience and giving them what they need.
Awesome. Now, what about your service? Do you coach your clients through the launch, or is it like a done for you type of service? What's the service delivery like?
Yeah, it's mostly done with you. I don't like to take a done for you approach, because I think it's important that we make sure that we keep your voice and your personality in all of the things that we writing and recording. So I think it's important that we do it collaborative way. So basically, clients would write up a draft of something that they want to do, and then we will look over it and then bounce the ball back and forth till we'll have a good product.
Okay, awesome. And now there's a lot of different places, areas where you can help different entrepreneurs, business owners, but you chose the launch strategy. Why the launch? Why did you decide to focus on that element?
Well, before this, right before this, I worked with email marketing specifically, and I realized at some point where the passion wasn't in email marketing anymore. So I tried to figure out, okay, what it is that I want to do. So I kind of wrote pro and con list of the things I like to do and the things I don't like to do. And it turns out, I've pretty much been helping people launch. So I figured, that's actually what I want to do. And just because I know when you're launching, it's a stressful moment for a lot of people. And often we do it on our own, so we don't have any support at all. And I just want to be that person for a lot of people, just, being that rock in their launch, basically, whenever they're feeling the doubt coming up.
Yeah, and that's so powerful as well too. I know, yeah, launch is definitely one of the places where you can make a lot of money, but you can also do a lot of work and not make any money. So it's critical that you get it right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of people tend to see all the, 6 and 7-figure launches, which is great. They are definitely out there, but it's probably a lot more zero sales launches out there that we don't actually hear about. And I think people get a little bit too focused on the big, huge launches and thinking that that's going to be them. And I'm not saying it's not going to be, but probably not with the first couple of launches. You might have to do a few before you actually get there.
Yeah. Now, what would you say are the key elements for a successful launch?
Well, this goes back to the framework, which I was talking about, having the on-point messaging and a no-brainer offer, and also having a launch plan, so that, if one of these three key components fail, basically your launch probably will also not do as well as you kind of hoped.
Yeah. What about strategy wise, if launch is how do you have several different types of launches that you take clients? So let's say someone has never shot videos, your launches based on creating videos. Can it be email based? Like, how do you? What's your definition of how you go through set up a launch?
Well, like you said, you can do a launch in a lot of ways. Webinar is obviously a popular one. Definitely challenge launches has been a huge thing this last couple of years. But I think it's important to look at, who is your audience and how do they enjoy, consuming the content. You might have an audience who really don't like to, sit through a webinar. So you might have to do a challenge because that is something that they can get engaged to. So you need to look at your audience, but also take a look at, what it is that you want to do as well, which fires you up, because you don't want to do a webinar and you're terrified of being on camera, because that energy that you show up with, that's obviously going to show through the camera, and people are not going to feel that you're so confident and probably not going to buy your product or service.
Hmm. Okay, awesome. So you're ultimately saying when it comes to a launch, it's not just based on saying, well, I saw this guy do it this way, so I'm going to go do it that way. It's more based on, well, who's the audience? How do they like to consume content, information, and then kind of tailor it for that specific individual, right?
Exactly. And I think it's important also that we don't change up the strategy too often without actually trying to see if it actually works or not. I mean, you can try a webinar one time and you can definitely say that didn't work, so I'm going to try a new strategy.
Hmm.
But you're probably not going to know until you've done it a couple of times and just try to improve it, because it could be something that's just not working for you at that moment, but the strategy might actually work as well. But yeah, I think you just need to try it out a couple of times before you kind of put it to the side and say, this is not for me.
Yeah, and it's so fascinating as well too. While I'm being online and just seeing individuals who um, come in maybe saying like this thing didn't work or that thing didn't work or this thing doesn't work and all these different things. And when you really look into like, well, what did you do and how many times you tried, and you realize that number one, maybe they never even tried themselves. They heard somebody else say it didn't work. And
Mm-hmm.
then number two, they just did the thing one time and based on that one time of doing it and didn't really perform the way they wanted. It's like they just scrapped and said it doesn't work. Versus you're saying more of an approach of saying, hey, don't do that. More take an approach of let's do it several times before we come into any
Exactly.
type of solid judgments, right?
Yeah. And then we need to look at the numbers. You need to look at the conversions. What is it? Which piece of the funnel is not working? It could be the sales page. It could be the Facebook ad that's not working. So you need to look at the numbers specifically as well. And I think also people tend to set goals for themselves, and these goals are based on something we've done in the past, or we basically have no idea, but we have this idea of this is what we want to do, and we get really attached to that goal. And when we don't hit that goal, it makes us feel bad and we think that we failed. But I like to say that, no launch is a failure. You just either get the success that you're looking for, or you get the lessons that you needed. So it's probably something in each launch that you fail, and you can take something from that, learn from it, and improve on it till the next launch.
Yeah. Okay, good. Now, when a client of yours, when they go through and they identify, maybe they do the research, they identify how the audience consumes information and like what's the best type of content to put out there for the launch. There are several different ones, it seems like. Now, do you help them? Will you be able to help them with each of the different ones, whether they say, let's say, maybe they want to do a webinar or they want to do, let's say, a challenge or they want to do a quiz or whatever that is? Would you be able to help them? Guide them through whatever strategy they do, or do you have a specific few that you just specialize in?
Right. No, I'm pretty confident I can help with any type of launch that you're looking to do. Obviously, I've done a few more than others. So
Hmm.
things like evergreen launches and affiliate launches, not done that so much, but still, I believe that any launch should be treated as an experiment. So you try things out, see how it works, look at the numbers, and look back at what didn't work, what worked, and then you can go back to the drawing board and improve on the next launch.
Yeah, awesome. And what about with launches, right? Where would you say someone needs to be at to be able to seriously consider a launch? What do you think they should be at in the business? Is it someone who's just getting started? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I believe that, you shouldn't hold back too long, just because you think you need to have all the ducks in a row. But I mean, even a messy launch could be a good launch. I've seen that a lot of times people just throw the launch out there and it's done and they have success with it. But obviously, it's a huge benefit if you actually know your audience properly. So you have done maybe an exercise of finding out who your ideal client or customer is, and having that as a foundation. And also, like I said, having the messaging really speak for you and your product and your services. I think that's really key to everything.
Hmm. Awesome. What about working with you? What does working with you look like?
Well, like I've talked about before this, in a collaborative way, I like to work with the client instead of working for them, so that we continuously have dialogue and we get on coaching calls and we make sure that we are on track. And obviously, people need somebody to hold them accountable, give them the deadlines, push them a little bit forward, and make sure that, whenever they're feeling the doubt coming up, they have someone in the corner who can really, help them get through that and push forward.
Hmm. Yeah, good, good. And I know a lot, there's so many individuals, again, as you said, they hear about the big launches, right? So the six-figure launches, the seven-figure launches, and all these big things. How do you recommend someone sets milestones and expectations for how a launch would perform or what they could expect to see?
Well, obviously, there's a lot of factors that's going to come into play. Whether you get maybe you just get a four-figure launch, or maybe you get a five-figure launch. Who knows? But I think it's important that, like you said, or like I said earlier, that you view this as an experiment, and then you can see how it performs, and then you can base the next launch on what you did here with this first launch, so that you can improve and make it better. But yeah, it's hard to say whether it's going to be a huge success or not. It depends on your audience. Do you have a big audience? Do you have a huge email list or not? And obviously, you don't need to have all these huge numbers to make sure that you have a good launch. You can have a small list, small following, but if those people are dedicated to you and your true fans, obviously you're still going to do great.
Hmm. Yeah, at the end of the day, it all comes back into the relationship you have with your audience and your list, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, good stuff, good stuff. Okay, perfect. So what would you say, just based on your own journey as you've been growing your own business, what would you say is one skill you've really practiced that's helped you create your level of success today?
I would say actually it has nothing to do with launches in itself. It's more of the mindset that I have right now. So I worked really hard the last couple of years to make sure that I reframe every thought that I have, or negative thought that I have, to something positive. So like we talked about a lot of this, thinking things as a experiment, make sure that, you don't get hung up on that negative thought, and just make shift and see if you can find something positive in it. I actually had one of my pivotal moments was back when I was doing email marketing. I had a membership and I had a few beta members in it. And one of the beta members called me out and she said, I don't think your heart is into this. And immediately I felt like, wow, that was harsh. How can you say that to me? And, feeling really sorry for myself. But after a few minutes, I managed to get out of that and just start thinking, okay, maybe she's right. Okay, what am I doing here? Is there something else I should be doing? And that's kind of when things started to shift to, actually, we were working towards launching instead. So something good came out of it after all.
Yeah, yeah, and it's so critical. Mindset is one of those places where it's almost like it's just a constant evolution, right? Like you can't just say,
Oh
"Hey,
yeah.
I did I did one meditation, I did one thing, and now I'm like I'm fixed," right? It's more based on no, you gotta like how do you structure your day, your week, your month, your year with having those types of mindset goals, right?
Mm, absolutely.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
Cool stuff, cool stuff. And what about, I know as entrepreneurs, we always get these huge insights, these huge breakthroughs where we're like, man, why didn't I learn this like 6 years ago? Why didn't I learn this like last year or something? Am I now learning that? So I guess for you, as you've been on your journey over the past, maybe say few days, weeks, months or whatever, have you got any big insights that you're like, man, I wish I had known this. So let me try to share this with someone else so that they could benefit from it. Do you have any of those that's come up for you recently?
I would say, get some help early on, hire VA, even if it's just part-time, just to unload some of the things that you probably don't enjoy doing, and someone could probably do it cheaper than, you pay yourself actually. So I would definitely look at outsourcing things really early on if you have the ability to do that. And there's plenty of people out there who don't charge that much, and you can get started with a part-time VA. It doesn't have to be full-time. So yeah, definitely something like that. That's
Mhm.
a huge deal.
Yeah. So as far as just being able to delegate and free up more time.
Yeah, so you can focus on the money generating, you know, tasks.
Yeah, it's so interesting, like in business, how many activities, how many things that you could be doing that really doesn't equate to any money, any new business whatsoever, right? So you could get to
Yeah,
like being there for a week, a month, and just working, 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 and thinking you're making progress. But then on the real measurement, which is how much money did you generate, how much income, to realize like, whoa, what's happening here? So your
yeah,
process is saying, hey, be able to delegate, figure out what's making the money, and then delegate whatever is really not, maybe to a VA or someone, while you just keep focused on the money making activities.
hmm yeah.
Yeah, cool stuff, man. Awesome, love it. And I guess the final thing I'll ask is, with what you do, right? So, is your do you work with clients? Your business, is it virtual? Do you meet clients in person, or are you virtual?
It's only virtual. I live in Norway, so and most of my people are in Canada, US, England.
Mhm.
So it's not really taking a trip over. It's especially these days, you're not taking any trips. So, so
Yeah.
yeah, it's virtual all the way,
What's
and I love it.
Norway like, man? What is Norway like?
Right now, it's well, it's coming to the end of summer, so it's getting colder. But usually, it's a warm, nice. I don't know if you use degrees or use Fahrenheit, probably. So it would be around 72 in the summer,
Uh,
somewhere around there. But now it's getting colder, so we're gearing up for fall, and before we know it, it's winter, and then it's really cold.
Yeah, yeah. I have a few clients who are in Norway, who live in Norway, and they always tell me how amazing it is and
Yeah,
how
the
they
nature
love
is
it.
amazing.
So
Yeah,
you
we're
said
very,
nature
very
is
fortunate.
nature. You said what's the
Yeah,
amazing
the nature
nature?
is
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
Okay, cool, awesome, awesome. Are there a lot of like forests and stuff back there, hiking
Absolutely,
trails?
forest and mountains and lakes, and yeah, we got it all.
Yeah, yeah, cool stuff, cool stuff. And I know that's Norway's definitely on my bucket list. I'll definitely make some time to be
Nice.
out there. Awesome, love it, love it. Okay, good, good. Now, what's your vision for your clients, right? So as you're building your business here, what's that vision that you hold for all of the clients or people that you work with?
I just want them to understand that we can have a successful launch whether you are starting out pretty new or not. It's all about just keep on going. And I know a lot of people tend to think that launch failed and then they quit and they don't want to do it again. But you just got to keep pushing a little bit, just like you do with everything else. And eventually, you will also be having those 6 and 7 figure launches. I mean, our success is inevitable at some point, no matter what. So yeah, we just got to keep going.
Yeah, so true. And I believe it's the same thing, which is principles, right? So just like it seems like with you, as you help individuals with launches, you've kind of mastered, you've figured out the principles. And just like I realized, as I was asking you a few questions, you're like, well, that's a good question, but there's a better way. Here are the core things that would make sense to start off with, because at the end of the day, really principles are really what makes the whole thing work, right?
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, cool stuff, cool stuff. So what's on the horizon for you? What current what projects do you currently have working on?
Right now, I'm just focusing on one-on-one coaching clients, but eventually, I hopefully will have a online course, and I'm also thinking about maybe some kind of membership. I do have a podcast going, and I want to get that going in further. It's called "Oh My God, I'm Launching," and we talk about those zero sales launches in particular, and having some guest experts on talking about that. So, podcast is a huge thing, but yeah, online course and membership might be down the line as well.
Yeah, perfect. Well, and what's the name of your podcast you said?
Oh my God, I'm launching.
Oh, nice, nice. Well, how long have you been doing it?
It's closing in on a year, so but I think it's on 9 months,
Mhm.
probably. Yeah,
Yeah, awesome. And I love podcasts. It's such a fascinating thing because you get to meet so many cool, interesting individuals.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good, good, Ken. So if someone wanted to learn more about your process and possibly how maybe you could help them with a launch or something, what's the best way for them to be able to reach out and connect?
The best way is definitely on Instagram. So it's Ken Westgaard, and that's Westgaard. Reach out to me in the DMs and ask me any questions, and then we can definitely help. And I have a 20-minute launch chat, which is a free chat where we kind of hash things out and help you get moving forward in your launch. So if that's something of interest, that's definitely one place you can reach out to me, or you can go to kenwestgaard.com.
Awesome. Do you have any free resources you give away?
Yeah, on my website, you can find a launch guide. Basically, you have a step-by-step process where you can basically plan out your launch and make sure that you bring everything on that you need to do and leave out the things that you don't need. So it's a really good, nice list to go through.
Yeah, awesome. Well, hey, thank you so much. And guys, if you're watching this interview on the live or the replay, number one, leave us a comment below just so we know you're here with us today. And the second thing, all the links I can just mention here today, they will be either above or below this video. So you can click and get connected right to him, whether it's on Instagram or his website or just on social media. Ken, hey man, thank you so much for making the time to be here today. Really appreciate it. Do you have any final thoughts before we end?
I would just say my pleasure. But yeah, like we talked about a lot of good stuff here, but if you're thinking about launching, I would say just do it and take the experience with you and, make sure that you use that experience to improve on the next launch. But don't wait because life is too short.
Awesome. Love it. Love it. Well, again, man, thank you. We'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Yep. Bye.